Let's talk some sports, baby.
And remember, make tomorrow better than today and make today better than yesterday. And you know what we gonna do. We gonna holler at you until next time, baby.
Welcome to A Drink of Wisdom with Jay Wise and Nathan Drinkard. I'm your host, Cody Ward. Thank you for spending some of your time with us tonight. As a reminder to all our listeners, besides being on all your favorite podcast platforms, A Drink of Wisdom is also on YouTube with each show segment available. Head on over, and if you like what you hear, we would appreciate your subscription. What's going on, guys? Week 2 in the books. Looking ahead to a lot of action this week.
Yep, week two in the books, and a lot of players' seasons already in the books due to injuries. But we'll get into that a little later. Let's go ahead and get it.
Medic, but yeah, there's neither here nor there. You know what it is. Definitely got some stuff to talk about, but you know, least but not late. Let's talk some sports, baby. Let's roll, Cody.
Let's do it, man. In episode 5, Russ tops Cam. The NFL is riddled with injuries. Did you hear what LeBron had to say about the MVP award? Well, stick around. We'll tell you later on. Let's go ahead and kick off tonight with a look back at Monday Night Football. The Las Vegas Raiders defended their new and very empty $2 billion stadium, defeating New Orleans Saints 34-24 in the home opener. Saints got off to a 10-0 lead, but Raiders quarterback Derek Carr manufactured 4 straight scoring drives in the second and third quarters and capitalized on some Saints mistakes. It was a good night on paper for Drew Brees, but a few uncharacteristic Brees throws and some defensive lapses ultimately did sink the Saints' chances. So, Jay, so not many people really expected the Raiders to pull this one off, right? But does the loss spell more trouble for the Saints? And should we take these 2-0 Raiders a little bit more seriously?
You know what? There's one thing, and it's a big thing I'm concerned about the Saints. And it's a quarterback, Drew Brees. I don't think Drew Brees is looking like himself at this particular point. There's just – and we saw a couple throws last night that he just flat out airmailed. And when you talk about, talking about one of the greatest quarterbacks that this league has ever seen, particularly from a pure statistical standpoint, I mean, he's just got, a lot of the records. And we think of him as a high completion guy, as a high completion percentage guy, and he just seems a little off right now for whatever reason. And maybe this has to do with not having a preseason. It's something we're gonna talk a little bit later. I mean, what these guys didn't have a preseason due to the COVID issue. And not to make that an excuse for them, because I don't think it's affecting everybody, but maybe that's something that's going on with Drew Brees. The timing seems a little off for him right now. But outside of that, we also got to remember Michael Thomas is out for a little bit with an injury he suffered in week 1. And we know how important Michael Thomas is to that Saints offense. We also got to take into consideration, we still haven't, at least in this game, Emmanuel Sanders was a virtual no-show. We didn't get much from him. So you got to take that into consideration. He's still a new piece to this offense trying to get integrated. We also got, Traquan Smith, Jared Cook. There's just overall the weaponry and the quarterback. The passing game appears to be a little off right now. What I will say is there are some positives, even in this loss. I think Alvin Kamara looks money right now. He looks to be in great shape. He's explosive, got a great burst. He looks like the Alvin Kamara that we saw, not the last year Alvin Kamara where he's, getting hung up by injuries and just didn't overall look like himself. It was a massive disappointment, a wild loss to the Minnesota Vikings. But he looks explosive to me right now. But obviously last night, the defense. I mean, we look at the defense in week 1, and they got a lot of credit for what they were able to do to that Tampa Bay Buccaneer offense. And we know all the weapons that they have at their disposal down there. And part of it is, I mean, you talk about integrating some new pieces. I mean, new quarterback, new tight end. You just signed a new running back week before the season started. So there's some new offensive linemen you're incorporating in there. So they got a lot of things to work on. But still, it was impressive nonetheless what the Saints were able to do to that Buccaneer offense. I don't know what it was this week, but this defense was clearly not the same. I don't know if it was a travel in Las Vegas. Maybe the Raiders had a little extra juice with the first home game in the new stadium. But the Saints defense, they were not able to get off the field, quite frankly. I mean, 10 for 17 on third downs. They allowed both of the Raider fourth down attempts were successful. And then just all in all, an undisciplined brand of football. I mean, they were talking about, over 100 yards and penalties in week one and then 129 in this game. They committed 10 penalties. There were a handful of penalties that were assisted the Raiders in keeping drives alive. There were a couple of two pass interference calls that were huge, one against Marshawn Lattimore, I believe, one against Janoris Jenkins. Just uncharacteristic football overall from a team that when you think about the Saints, you don't expect these type of mistakes this frequently from a Sean Payton coach team. And then you juxtapose that with how clean a game the Las Vegas Raiders played last night, and they committed 3 penalties. I mean, so the rule number one in football is don't beat yourself. Don't commit stupid penalties, and don't turn the football over. And the Raiders were excellent in both. 3 penalties for 13 yards, and they didn't turn the ball over. The Saints, 10 penalties for $129, and Drew Brees had a horrific interception late in the first half. So there's a bunch of things the Saints were not good at this week. They definitely got some things to clean up and work on. But my position for them is unchanged. I'm going to go ahead and roll with Drew Brees and roll with this team. I still got him as my Super Bowl pick. It's way too early to hit the panic button and jump off that ship. And meanwhile, on the other side, although this is an impressive win for the Raiders, I'm not going to overreact to this either. I don't see, anything all that spectacular on this team. You guys know how much I like Josh Jacobs. I think he's the real deal. He was relatively held in check last night. Let's be honest. Outside of Darren Waller, nobody else really did much last night in his passing attack. I mean, Darren Waller had 12 catches for over 100 yards, and he had 16 of the targets. No other receiver last night had more than 3. So it's clearly one of those situations where they found a mismatch that they liked, and the Saints, for whatever reason, were unable to adjust. Now, they do have Henry Ruggs. There's a lot to like about what he can bring to the table, especially in terms of taking the top off the defense. But really behind him, I mean, no one's going to fear a guy like Hunter Renfrow, as solid as he may be. And Nelson Aguilar is not striking fear into anybody else either. I'm not impressed with the weaponry that Derek Carr has. I'm really not. And this defense, although they look a bit better, I mean, they let Carolina put up 30 on them in week 1. And, I mean, New Orleans, as inconsistent and as they were, I mean, they converted to 7 of 11 on third downs. So I think both ways. No, I don't think the 2-0 start is a huge deal for the Raiders. I mean, the AFC West belongs to the Kansas City Chiefs. I need to see a little bit more before I start really singing their praises. And for New Orleans, I think they're going to be fine. I think Drew Brees will get it together, and they'll be fine, and they'll be what we think they're going to be, which is the champions of the NFC South.
All right, so got a question for you there, Jay. So you said last night only one guy pretty much showed up for the Ravens offense, correct?
In the passing game, yeah, Darren Waller.
All right, so in the passing game, let's be specific, all right? So with that one guy showing up in that passing game and the Saints being the defense that they are, they're not in some sort of trouble because you let one guy torch you, one. You just said Hunter Renfrow, non-factor. We seen Ruggs, one catch for 3 yards, some trash like that. I can't even tell you who the other threats are on the team. Either way, one guy burnt them this bad, and that doesn't trouble you at all.
Not really. No, that seems. I mean, coaching wise, you can look at them and say, why couldn't we adjust and do better against Darren Waller? I don't know. Maybe the game plan.
They tried.
Yeah,
I would give them this. They tried. They put Malcolm Jenkins on there, and he was the all-you-can-eat buffet. Then they put the linebacker played pretty well. He played him well, but it's only like the guy. I guess he got tired or something. He couldn't keep up with the physicalness of Waller, so that's why they kept switching. My thing is this: they adjusted. and it didn't matter.
Well, can I offer this point? I mean, and you mentioned it. Yeah, they tried Jenkins at safety. Maybe you try a linebacker. I mean, you know as well as I do, some tight ends it's like mandatory that you double cover them. You bracket them with a linebacker underneath, and you let a safety shade them over the top. And it would seem to me, when we just covered the rest of their weapons, they're not that impressive, at least not yet. Even Henry Ruggs being a rookie, you got to wonder how much attention. I mean, 3 targets last night? So they're really not. It doesn't appear to be incorporating him a whole lot yet. So maybe that would mean, hey guys, one guy isn't stopping Waller. He's that good. It's the same way with Kelsey, Kittle, Gronk. I mean, those guys demand double coverage. Maybe that's a way. Maybe that's what they should have done.
So, with that said, I think the Saints are in some trouble. I'm to week 2. I think they're in some trouble because I don't understand how we could watch that game and say, "Hey, Sean Payton, you want to make an adjustment? Hey, you guys want to stop the one guy that's cooking you alive over here? I mean, oh no, he's still cooking, huh? He's sizzling. Oh man, he almost unedible at this point because he's so hot. Like, what are we doing? And you sitting there on the sideline, and that's okay. Hey, just keep letting – this ain't basketball. This ain't I'm going to let this guy get all the points, and we're going to shut down the rest of the people. No, this is the ultimate team sport, meaning when you keep letting that crap happen, then these other guys, the Hunter Renfros of the world, the not Ruggs last night, but in general, the Ruggs of the world, they get to get in and get a little piece of the action because you got one guy just running roughshod. And he's not even a wide receiver. He a tight end on top of that. And he's just getting to do whatever he wants to. So I honestly thought last night the Saints got out coached. Sean Payton, I know what you're doing out there. You letting John Gruden come in here with some backyard football crap sometimes. You just didn't do enough last night. I'm sad to say you didn't do enough. I need more out of a veteran Super Bowl winning coach than that bull crap I seen last night on defense. I'm not going to blame the defense on Drew Brees. Like, Drew Brees play offense. He has nothing to do with that bull crap they was running out there on defense. Malcolm Jenkins, you talking all this, man, if you don't knock it off and come play some football, I'm all for players doing their social injustice. I'm all for that. But when you get so caught up in what you're doing outside of football that you forget that you actually play football and football pay the bills, it started to be a problem. Last night, he whiffing on tackles. Yo, what did Louis Riddick say? Louis Riddick was like, yeah, it's a tough night for old Malcolm Jenkins. This is going to be a tough game for him. When he go back and look at the tape, this is tough. What was the translation? He out here getting smoked. And this is unwatchable football. I don't know what he got going on, but he need to go clean that crap up because he out here getting smoked like a Cuban cigar that just got out on the market. He was getting ran over, he was missing tackles, and he was just getting beat straight to sleep by Waller. So that ain't it. All right, defense coordinator, it's time to go have a talk with Malcolm Jenkins. He got to play. He got to be better. He just got to be better. That's not going to cut it. Now, with that said, one thing I wanted to make sure I said is, listen, the Raiders are 2-0. Could you call it a shadow 2-0? I would say they're a good 1-1 team. Because the first matchup, it was a coin flip. It was what it was. First game with the Panthers. Last team with the ball. It was like some dramatic crap like that. This game, they won. We just talked about the penalties. We just talked about what they did. And if they won it with one receiver, well, by God, they won with one receiver. It is what it is. The defense, this is an average defense. I'm not going to sit here and gloat like, oh, man, this defense was lights out. Like, listen, maybe you play a team that had their stuff together better than what the Saints had. I don't know if this defense is up to par. I'm still out on that verdict. But what I will say is, we talked about this. The Raiders don't have those draft picks no more for Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper and whoever else they decide to sell off. With those draft picks, it's starting to seem to me that John Gruden and Mike Mayock, they're going in the right direction with the way they're building this team. Whether we think it's contender or pretender, whichever one, this team is trending the right direction, nonetheless. Because before that game was played, most people thought this was going to be a young smoke check. I'm going to holler at you. Let me go take a smoke break. I'm out of here. This game is going to be unwatchable. But it wasn't that. The Raiders came out and surprised everybody, and they made the Saints, for all intents and purposes, the Saints looked like this when they played Minnesota in their last playoff game. Just inept. Like, what are we doing here? Are we coming to play or what? This is what the Saints look like. So you have to give kudos to the Ravens, and you have especially to Mike Mayock in that GM office, and then to John Gruden as the head coach. So I want to make sure we give them the credit that they're on the right foot when they're building this team. Jay talked about it, the Saints defense. What are we doing here? You're supposed to be a top 5 unit. As a whole, a top 5 unit. I mean, we still using the training. Hey, we ain't had no preseason, right? Oh, it was a lack of training camp. Listen, your staff is a rollover. How long that defense coordinator been there?
I don't know, been there for, 4 or 5 seasons. I don't know. Yeah,
Right.
I'm not sure, but he's been there for a while.
And so I have a problem with teams that try to use that. Well, we didn't have a preseason. Wait, your head coach been here for like how long? The offense coordinator been here for how long? The defense coordinator been. You don't get to use that excuse when you have a veteran staff that's been with you for a while. This is supposed to be copy and paste. Yes, as some players have to learn new things, but as an organization, as a culture, you should know what's going on. This should be status quo. These are the same guys that have been here for at least, off the top of my head, at least 5 to the last 7 years. How long does it take to figure out what your job is and to go out there and perform it? Like, I'm sorry, you're not the Cleveland Browns that get a new coach every year. You're not, some of these other organizations that change coach at a very, very rapid rate. The Saints is not that. So I don't want to hear that, oh, it was the fans. The fans threw them off. Oh, well, really wasn't no fans. The only fans was the broadcasting trio up there. So I don't know if we want to use the fans excuse either. That defense was under par. I don't know what they need to do, but they need to figure something out because just like Jay said, if they're going to be a Super Bowl contender, this ain't it. You don't have Patrick Mahomes on the other side. You can't go out here playing defense like this and expect to be in the Super Bowl. You're going to actually have to stop people. And if you can't stop a team like the Raiders with one threat, good luck playing the other teams with multiple threats.
I got a question for you real quick.
Okay.
And it goes back, and the point is well taken on there shouldn't be any excuse for this performance in regards to, we didn't have a training camp, we didn't have a preseason, all that. Well, you know what you did just have? You did just have a week 1 where you looked okay. And that would be my kind of transition in to my question. I thought they looked really good against Tampa Bay. It was a really good team effort, both sides, for the most part. And we know that Tampa Bay has been like the hot, trendy topic for much of the offseason. They've been getting a lot of hype. We talked about whether or not we think they're on par with the Saints for the NFC South. I have to imagine the Saints, we're hearing that stuff. And maybe they came out with more of a purpose in that game. And then after that game, they were still feeling themselves a little too much. And they just thought maybe we can just waltz into Las Vegas and it's going to be easy. Because as well as I do, and we saw it, I keep bringing up Bucks Magic, that game 1. If you don't come in with the right mindset and focus, you can get embarrassed. Okay. I don't know if that's what happened in this case, but I would just offer that up to you.
That's true enough. Listen, it's sports, right? People get gassed up, egos get to flying. It's the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, who taking them serious? They in rebuild mode, like, blah, 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 blah. That's very true. Usually when we see this in basketball a lot more than football, but usually when you play a juggernaut on a Wednesday and you the talk of the town, and then you go play the Sacramento Kings on Friday, you just don't got it. You just like, whatever. That's very true. However, I go back to the veteran laden of this team, the head coach, both coordinators, the quarterback. Like, these ain't guys that just was drafted 4 years ago and, or these ain't highly talented free agents that just got a captain patch just because they was good. No, Drew Brees been running this team for quite a while. Cam Jordan been running that defense for quite a while. These dudes been around for a while. Your leadership's supposed to take care of this nonsense. If they're not doing that, what are they there for? Speaking of leadership, let me talk about Drew Brees a little bit. Because, people, when we talk about Drew Brees and Tom Brady, we tend to be on eggshells. Oh, these guys are Hall of Famers. They're legends. You can't talk bad about them. Well, watch me. Listen, Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer. No doubt about it. You can put a stamp on it with the drippy drip. He is definitely a Hall of Famer. However, Drew Brees is old. And he's starting to get to that Peyton Manning strategy where it's like, Drew, you give us 2 more games like this, bro, we gonna have to be talking about maybe we need old steamy crab legs or that old garlic butter sauce. Get him on in here, or Taysom Hill, Mister. I don't know what position I play. Just get me on the field. Listen, we're gonna have to be talking about something. We get 2 more games like this out of Brees, because I wasn't overly impressed in the first game, to be perfectly honest with you.
I don't think he's been great in either game. That's true. And
then this game was even worse. So I'm like, he didn't have Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas don't go no more than 15 yards down the field. So don't give me this crap like he was some deep threat, like he was Tyreek Hill out here and he couldn't throw the ball over the top. No, Michael Thomas is really good. He's a really good wide receiver. But if we're going to say Drew Brees is all these accolades, et cetera, don't let that get too far ahead of you, then he got to be able to win a game without one wide receiver. Maybe it might be his best wide receiver, but Drew, you can't make Emmanuel Sanders a little bit better. You can't make Jared Cook a little bit better. You can't – you got all these guys, Trayon, like you got guys to throw the ball to. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Oh, because Michael Thomas not playing. That's the ultimate excuse. I'm telling you, Drew Brees probably got 2 more games. After that, I don't want to hear nothing else about no old stats. I don't want to hear that he about to be like Phillip Rivers. I don't want to hear nothing else about what he did in the past. Oh, he's the career leader in this. He's the career leader in that. Well, he can go ahead and retire and still be the career leader and let somebody else come on in. That's what he can do. I don't want to hear nothing else about that crap. He got to play better. So I'm done hearing these old archive stats. All these legend-owning leagues want to throw out and roll out of here. And like my eyes don't work. Yeah, I wear glasses, but I can see what I'm looking at now. My boy is out there. He's sandbagging it, and I'm talking about it's hurricane season. He's sandbagging it left and right. Okay, I'm tired of that. He needs to come on with it, because if this was anybody else, we would be out here blowing the doors down, talking about how awful they really starting to get. But it's Drew Brees. We can't say too much. He's a legend. First ballot Hall of Famer. All right, yeah, cool. Another thing I wanted to hit on was this tight end group. I think Waller, he brought some notice to the tight end group in the AFC West. This really ain't got nothing to do with the game, but I just thought I would mention. This tight end group, listen, Travis Kelce, Hunter Henry, Noah Fant, Darren Waller. Listen, I would be ready to sit down and you tell me a division that got 4 better tight ends than that. These guys are out here balling. Listen, Jay said that Noah Fant probably be the worst of the 4. And listen, every time I watch that dude play this year, I'm like, yo, this dude is good. No wonder he was a first-round pick. I almost forgot about him, but no wonder he was a first-round pick. This dude can play. I like him. I'm impressed. And listen, this group is something. And the reason I'm so impressed by this group, because Jay said this earlier, when you play fantasy football, do you know how hard it is to get a capable tight end? And this division look like they walking the dog with like 4 capable tight ends. So, I want to give a shout-out to that division. But in all, I do think the Saints are in trouble if Drew Brees keep playing the way he's playing. I'm sorry. There's no way around it. I know we got high expectation for the Saints, but this ain't it. They keep this mess up. You barely won in week 1. You lost in week 2. And listen, you come out here with this bull crap next week and catch an L. Hey, you ready, crab legs? You good? You got that surgery? We might have to bring them on in and see what we're going to do. And as far as, yeah, exactly. And as far as the Raiders go, give me another game or 2 to know if they're serious. I mean, granted, I'm impressed with what they did. I do think they when it played tails off and they won. But give me another 2 weeks of consistency. Can John Gruden bring Derek Carr to the party for 2 more weeks? Can that offensive line looked good, but can they hold up 2 more weeks? Can you finally incorporate Henry Ruggs? Because let's be honest here, Henry Ruggs wasn't much of a factor in the first game. He made the one deep catch, but I don't really remember a whole lot after that. And then last night, he definitely wasn't a factor last night. One catch, he definitely wasn't a factor. So let me see a little more to see what they do and see if that defense can grow into actually being a consistent third down stopper or a consistent situation stopper. And then I would take them a little more serious. But, hey, kudos to them. 2-0. They're looking better than we gave them credit for, and that's where I stand on that.
I tell you, I did not think we were coming to this for a full-on Saints barbecue. My Lord, what did they do to you, man? Holy crap! They
not living up to the potential.
What did Drew Brees like? Knock your mailbox off the post, or what? Would he come out with the baseball bat? And Lord, I'll keep it.
I did not see Drew Brees hitting the Phillip Rivers territory. I did not see that coming.
It happens fast.
I'll keep it real quick. We got other stuff to get to tonight. But, Drew Brees was not good. He was not the Drew Brees we know. I mean, he wasn't a complete unmitigated dumpster fire. I mean, the thing is with Drew Brees and the way he already plays, and now you're adding into the age and whatnot, he's not a guy that can throw you back from, we want to rack up a whole football field in penalties and mess around and not cover a tight end. And, he can't cover up that level of mistakes. I mean, few quarterbacks can at this point. I mean, there's probably about 4 or 5 that could. I mean, if you're the Saints, like you said, you're a veteran team. You're well coached. You got to be smarter in a lot of the different facets of the game that aren't Drew Brees throwing his arm off, getting you back into the game. I mean, he had his own share of mistakes. That interception was awful. I mean, it was awful. But, there's a lot of other blame to go around, and there was a lot to like about the Saints. They kept Josh Jacobs in check. That's a pretty good running back. He got 88 yards, but it took him almost 30 carries to get it. They shut down almost all the other Raiders wide receivers and whatnot. So it's I wouldn't be throwing up the absolute panic alarms. But, yeah, if Drew Brees keeps this up, the Saints are going to find it difficult to get all the way to their expectations, which is the Super Bowl, or at least the NFC Championship with him playing like this. But I would also say you get another week where they're running the ball better, they're controlling the clock better, they're not making 1,000 mistakes. They're still – I don't know if you'll see quite this level of play if Drew Brees isn't having to force it as much, and he also gets his main wide receiver back. Real quick for the Raiders, I just gotta say I love John Gruden. I don't know what's gonna happen with this team, but they're fun to watch. I mean, that field goal kick call when they're like a 55-yard field goal, they miss it, the Saints can still win it. And he's like, nah, do it football. Like they're just fun, man. I don't know what to say. There's a blast to watch, but yeah, I mean, we'll know about the Raiders soon. They go to New England next week, and they got the Bills, and they go back to Arrowhead for the 3rd week. So in a couple weeks, we're gonna know exactly what we have in the Raiders and the Saints. They got the Packers next week on Sunday Night Football. So plenty more to come.